The Perfect Career in Healthcare for Me by Gary Fraser. I chose respiratory therapy, and the route I chose was the healthcare science major with the respiratory care option. This will give me a bachelor's degree, and that is what I need. I chose to go here at MSSU, and I'm going to go over the required courses and stuff that you need to get this degree here. To start off with, you need 35 hours of the General Education Core 42. You can see everybody kind of got an idea what those are. It's just kind of the basic stuff. It's all the lower end courses, and that's pretty much where you got to start for any kind of degree. And then you would move into the respiratory requirements. Since I chose respiratory, you can see these are the respiratory requirements. It focuses on respiratory, and there's 61 hours to get here. And you can see all the options with that. And then after that, then you get into the core health science requirements, and you have to have 18 hours of these, and these are the higher end division courses. Next ones here, you'll see you gotta have 6 hours of these here, and there's a couple different options. You can do the two 3 credit hours or 3 2 credit hours, depending on which courses you want to take. And then continuing on, you'll see most of these in this part of the healthcare part have to do with they have to do mostly with administration, healthcare, management, and stuff like that. It also goes in a lot with how to communicate with others, not only patients but coworkers, because as healthcare science bachelor's degree, it kind of gears more towards management, upper management. So you have to know how to deal with your coworkers. So this is a lot of courses that helps you deal with that type of stuff. And then to end out the whole 120 credits that you'll also need 5 elective courses, and that's where I came to take this course, especially later on in my school career here, because I needed some electives, and this is one I chose. And since I was already have an associate's degree and I'm a respiratory therapist, I was able to transfer in and use this bachelor's degree to cap off my associate's degree, and that will help me. Since I didn't do the whole course in one, it helped me take it and cap off what I have already, which is very nice. Whenever you finish school, be it an associate's degree, be it a bachelor's degree, there's 2 different levels of respiratory therapists. There is a CRT, which is a certified respiratory therapist, and then there's also a registered respiratory therapist, an RRT. The difference is basically the certified respiratory therapist, you'll take a TMC, which is a therapist multiple choice exam, and when you pass that, you automatically get your certification. At the same time, if you want to go on to be registered, you have to have that, as well as you'll take what's called clinical sims, and that is more of it It's more of when you have actual cases that you have to work through, where you have patients that are sick with some kind of illness. You got to figure out what's going on and what kind of tests to order and what kind of therapy to give them for this. And the thing that makes it even harder is it's not just respiratory problems that you're dealing with. You have to deal with all the body problems. Anything that's happening with the body, be it the heart, or be it the lungs, or be it the digestive system, you have to be able to work through these things and figure out what's going on in these exams and know what kind of tests to order. So whenever you go through these exams, it's very stressful. It's not easy, and anybody who gets through them is pretty smart by the time they can get through this test. Then after you have your cert and or your registry, each state, 49 of the 50 states, will require a state licensure to work in their state. I gave an example of Missouri's requirements just because that's where I am, and I don't plan to go anywhere else, so that's what I know. But for Missouri licensure, you have to have the proof that you are registered or certified as a respiratory therapist. Then each 2 years, you're required to get 24 CEs, continuing education hours, for the 2 years, and 12 of those have to be live. So that means you have to have go to talks where there are actually live people doing talks on things that have to do with respiratory. They'll also do a criminal background check on you to make sure that you're safe to be around patients. You'll go to the police department, get your fingerprints done so they're on file. Every 2 years, it's a $35 fee right now, and then also, like I said, it's good for 2 years. So that's kind of what is required in the state of Missouri. Again, so I went on this site, it's called salary.com, and I pulled up this graph. This shows what the average salary is for a registered respiratory therapist in the city of St. Louis, Missouri. It shows that the average is about $71,000. To me, that looks a little high from what I'm used to, but with the pandemic hitting, a lot of things have changed, including salary. So salary has changed a lot due to the pandemic. But this is what it shows, what the average is in the city of St. Louis. And like I said, with the pandemic coming through, just like everywhere else in the world, it's affected the job market for the respiratory care. For example, employment rates have dropped, so that means that a lot of respiratory positions have opened up. Stress levels have increased throughout the healthcare system, just because of what's going on in the world. Salary has gone up quite a bit. Many have seen this impact of what respiratory therapists do because of the pandemic, and so now they're wanting to get into the field, which is amazing. It's great. But at the same time, a lot of therapists who have been in the field have been wondering if they should stay in the field, if they're up to staying in the field or not, or if they need to go to something else. So there's a big things to think about whenever you're going into it. So then as we move on, there's other things that hospitals are doing to try to combat this employment battle. So just like everywhere else, they're trying to throw money at people every different way to try to get them in. So they'll give really big high sign-on bonuses. I know of places now that are giving $10,000 and $15,000 sign-on bonuses in our city. Not to mention if you're in a bigger city, it might be more. They're doing school loan forgiveness. So if you come in as a new grad or you have graduated in the last few years, you can come in and they'll pay off your school loans for you, which is really nice. Other thing that's nice about the field is since there's so many openings, you've got lots of position. You can find your choice position, be it a day shift or a night shift position. Normally, it's kind of hard to come out of school or come to a new job and have an opening in a day position. But now you can get day positions or night positions, but you could also get a hospital position, sleep lab positions, PFT lab positions. You can get positions pretty much wherever you want and doing whatever you want. There's a lot of different options. Also, they're giving a lot of shift bonuses right now and referral bonuses. So like if you refer people to come to our hospital and they come work for us, then you'll get money just for referring them to come, which is really nice. At the same time, the reason they're having to do a lot of this stuff is because of what's called the travel positions. So people, one of the big things with what happened whenever the pandemic hit, the demand was so high for respiratory therapists, especially in the big cities like New York, that travel companies came and they offered people crazy money to go to these hospitals and work because the hospitals were able to pay crazy money to get them to come there. And so people were leaving their jobs and going on these travel positions. And when I say crazy money, what I'm talking about, if the average pay for a therapist for a year in St. Louis is, let's say, $71,000, a normal travel contract is 13 weeks. And in St. Louis, I know contracts were as high as, the hospitals were paying as high as $180,000 to $200,000 to the travel agencies for therapists for 13 weeks. So that's a lot more than $70,000 a year. Now, the therapist doesn't get all that money. The agency has to get paid too, but I know that the therapist will get at least half that much, if not a little bit more. So that's an easy win to pull somebody away from a job. So in that respect, it pulled people away from the hospitals, and then the hospitals had to pay more money to get the travelers in, and it helped drive up salaries. But now we're still struggling because we're having trouble finding people to work in the fields. So traveling positions are not bad things, but it did throw another big wrench into the mix. So it's another thing we're dealing with. So there you go. I am a registered respiratory therapist. I decided I'm ready to climb higher in the management ladder. So to do so, I have to get a bachelor's degree. So that's why I chose to come back to MSSU and convert my associate's degree over to a bachelor's degree with their program in health science. And that's what I wanted to do for myself, and that's what makes me happy. That and bringing cookies to my coworkers and making them happy. When they're happy, I'm happy. So we're all happy. Thanks.